Purify My Life, the complete science of spiritual transformation.
You've probably already heard that devotees of Lord Krishna follow 4 basic regulative principles: no gambling, no meat eating, no illicit sex, and no intoxication. Many people say that these principles are not for them or that they're impossible to follow. However, these are really regulative principles of freedom. To accept some regulation is the difference between animal life and human life. Without regulative principles, there is simply animal life, even if we have a human body. Then it's called Dvipada Pashu in Sanskrit, which means two-legged animal. The basis of human society, especially one that's centered on spiritual principles, lies in its morality. If there's no morality, there can be no discernment, either material or spiritual, what is best for oneself, one's family, and one's community. Without morality, there can be no progress. Human life is meant for spiritual progress. Following some basic moral principles frees us up to achieve spiritual happiness and success. It allows us to disconnect from the heavy anchor of material existence and move forward in spiritual victory. Where there is illicit sex going on, meat eating, intoxication, and gambling, there's no possibility of any cleanliness, mercy, austerity, or truthfulness. We're eternal spirit souls, but in the material world, we've passed through millions of lives in the plant, insect, and animal species. After much time, we get the chance to take a human body and engage in the system of yoga practice. Yoga means to unite with the Supreme. Yoga means strict regulative principles and sense control. That's the real yoga system. Today, most people who claim that they're practicing yoga really aren't, because they're not practicing sense control. Humans have higher intelligence than the animals, and they must use it to learn how to control the senses. This is the special ability afforded to humans. Animals have no regulative principles, but human society must follow regulative principles, or it is no better than animal society. For a human to behave like an animal and not take advantage of the opportunity for spiritual progress is a great misfortune. In the Nectar of Instruction, in his explanation to verse 3, Srila Prabhupada tells us, one should not be idle, but should be very enthusiastic about executing the regulative principles, tat tat karma pravartana. Neglect of the regulative principles will destroy devotional service. In this Krishna consciousness movement, there are 4 basic regulative principles forbidding illicit sex, meat eating, gambling, and intoxication. A devotee must be very enthusiastic about following these principles. If he becomes slack in following any of them, his progress will certainly be checked. Srila Rupa Goswami therefore recommends tat tat karma pravartanat. One must strictly follow the regulative principles of Vaidhi Bhakti. In addition to these 4 prohibitions, yama, there are positive regulative principles, niyama, such as the daily chanting of 16 rounds on japa mala beans. These regulative activities must be faithfully performed with enthusiasm. This is called tat tat karma pravartana, or varied engagement in devotional service. So there has to be some endeavor. Chanting the holy name is so powerful that it can immediately liberate the chanter. But because we're prone to fall down again, there are regulative principles. It all works hand in hand. There is a process. In December of 1970, during a class on Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada was discussing the case of Ajamil, who was born into a Brahminical family, but who fell away from the proper standard of behavior. Srila Prabhupada said, so here also, although Ajamil was born of a Brahmin father, and he was strictly following the regulative principles of a Brahmin, that will be stated, but he fell. He fell in love with a prostitute, and therefore his character was lost. Nasta Sadachara. The reason is, why? Dasya samsarga dushita, because he associated with a prostitute. Therefore, his all regulative principles became lost. And as soon as you are lost of regulative principles, then you take to all kinds of sinful activities. The regulative principles will keep you on the standard of life. If you give it up, then immediately you fall down, Maya. And in a lecture, another lecture, initiation lecture in 1970, Prabhupada was discussing the 4 basic regulative principles. He mentioned no illicit sex, and he described the proper use of the genitals. He mentioned no meat eating, and went on to describe how nice it is to take Krishna prasadam, or foodstuffs that are first offered to Krishna. He discussed not taking intoxication and then referred back to the glories of prasadam, spiritual food. And then he mentioned the regulative principle, no gambling, which also includes speculative approaches and too much involvement in mundane sports. And he said, but this Krishna consciousness is also gambling because you take to it. You do not know what will happen. In the Nectar of Devotion, Chapter 6, which is titled, How to Discharge Devotional Service, there's more extensive instruction on the practice and principles of executing devotional service. There are positive practices like accepting spiritual authority and residing in a sacred place. And there are also things to avoid, like the company of worldly-minded people and causing trouble to any living entity. Nectar of Devotion is just what it's called. It's wonderful reading that leads to the most positive outcomes if we accept the teachings. Very highly recommended, and we do have that book available at purelyprabhupada.com. If one is sincere on the spiritual path and also has difficulty following the regulations, one must chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra with great sincerity and always remember Krishna. Krishna will give the strength to be able to follow the regulative principles, and he will protect us on the spiritual path. He is very kind. He sees our efforts and desires and reciprocates with them. But the process of becoming Krishna conscious, including the following of basic regulative principles, must not be neglected in order to achieve the highest success in spiritual life.